This is a little narrative to add some flavor to our oathmark games. Hope you enjoy it, and hit like if you like, or subscribe to support my channel. It is late summer, just 2 days after the Battle of the Desert Pass, battle which Khaleesi lost. The battle demonstrated a weakness in Khaleesi's borders. Despite his victory, Sharbad the Goblin King knew that he needed more allies. He had a plan of attack that required more troops. His plan was to reinforce the army at the Desert Pass and send it west into Khaleesi's territory. To the east, he would send a second army to disrupt shipping supplies on the River Anduin. It was a sound plan. Shipping traffic in the River Anduin was a major source of supply for Khaleesi. Sharbad was confident that with his new allies, the Gnolls, he could send both armies forward and eventually disrupt the much-needed supplies for Khaleesi. This would also weaken Khaleesi's ability to wage war, especially during the winter. Meanwhile, in Khaleesi, the dwarf wizard Cornelius was meeting with the queen. He had thought up of a bold new plan to strike back at Maldragor. The idea was to send a small army through an ancient underground series of caverns. It would be a dangerous trek. The queen listened intently as Cornelius put forth the plan. Cornelius and the dwarves would lead the army through the tunnel system, the idea being to get the army undetected and deep within Maldragor territory. This would be a deep strike, perhaps the only opportunity that the queen would have for such a strike. She accepted. And just 2 days after the Battle of the Desert Pass, the army crossed the tunnel. Just like Cornelius predicted, the army emerged deep within Maldragor territory, right beyond the walls of the city of Urgith, a goblin city. The goblins and their human counterparts seemed to be caught by surprise. The attack immediately commenced, and while Maldragor used powerful river trolls from areas of Khaleesi that they had conquered, these trolls were difficult to control. Ironically, the battle for Urgith was also the battle to defend the oathmarks. Just like the very battle that started the war between Khaleesi and Maldragor, 3 oathmarks were present beyond the city walls. It was Khaleesi's cavalry, led by a young and ambitious elf officer, that destroyed the first oathmark. However, the cavalry suffered heavy losses at the hands of the trolls, and all of them were killed while the officer went missing. Maldragor's archers were behind the wall fortifications during the battle. They fired as best they could to support the troops, doing some damage to Khaleesi's rangers. Khaleesi had never employed elf rangers before. This would be the first time. And the goblins, curiously, would employ human defenders during this battle. Cornelius was also one of the first wizards to actually receive a battle honor for his valor in battle. So were the elf archers, the first unit to receive a battle honor after the Battle of Urgith. The Goblin Wolf cavalry, much like the cavalry of Khaleesi, was plagued by indecisiveness. The wizard Cornelius took advantage of this killing off some of the cavalry riders with lightning spells. The human infantry that fought on the side of the goblins, they took heavy casualties from the arrows shot by elf rangers. Half the unit would be destroyed. It was Khaleesi's dwarves and their stubbornness, and in part Cornelius' magic, that helped Khaleesi destroy the second oathmark. 2 more oathmarks would be destroyed: a human monument and a monument of the sacred tree. Gnolls arrived late in the battle, still trying to organize behind the walls. This would be the first time that any nation would use gnolls in battle. It was an experiment that proved successful to some extent. The elf rangers took the brunt of the gnoll attack, and half the elf ranger unit was destroyed in melee combat with the gnolls. This proved at least that the gnolls could be used as a powerful weapon for Maldragor. But despite the gnolls' appearance, the battle had gone in favor of Khaleesi. Her archers decimated ranks of humans, goblins, and even a gnoll. Casualties were high on Maldragor's side. It was an unprecedented victory for Khaleesi. It was more than the Queen hoped for. To have captured a city within the inner territories of Maldragor. It would be a terrible blow to the morale of the Goblin Kingdom. The Desert Pass had been avenged. Sharbad was livid. How could his kingdom allow such a deep strike so near the Goblin capital? Khaleesi was now in position to attack the Goblin capital if it wanted to. This made Sharbad nearly paranoid. But he insisted that disrupting ship traffic for Khaleesi, disrupting supplies before winter, was the thing to do. And the Druids had warned that winter would be harsh this time. Both armies, both kingdoms, would have to equip their human soldiers properly if they were to fight in the snowpack. But how far would Sharbad go to achieve victory? Rumors in the north spoke of terrible things. How will Kingdom Maldragor react now remains to be seen.